Welcome to a presentation for Comprehension Coach using Inside on myngconnect.com. myngconnect.com is the web portal for materials from National Geographic Learning. This tutorial will actually take you through the use and benefit of the Comprehension Coach for Inside, our middle school English language learner and or striving reader program. Let's take a look. When on Inside, you have all of the resources that are available to you via myngconnect.com. I will do a very quick review of some of those resources before launching the Comprehension Coach. The first thing that I'd like to remind you of is that this help button will help you navigate through all of your resources on MyNG Connect. This carousel of books is where you will find all of your student books as well as your teacher's editions while on MyNG Connect. Using this drop menu, you should find all of your rostered classes listed here. I am currently logged into a demo account, and all of my classes are inclusive of this one class, so I can access all of the levels of Inside, Fundamentals 1, Fundamentals 2, Inside A, B, or if I use this arrow to the right, I could also access Inside Level C. For our purpose today, we will be using Level A of Inside. In addition to the Comprehension Coach, where we will spend the majority of our time today, there are other resources that are available for you as teachers. You have your lesson planner, your resources, the digital library, and other resources as you see noted here at the bottom of your screen. Again, we are going to access and use this tutorial to help you navigate through the Comprehension Coach. The Comprehension Coach does serve two purposes, and before I actually launch it, let me just state those purposes for you. Students can answer questions and receive points for those questions, as well as students can record themselves reading passages of the text. And because the system is going to speak, I will not speak or try not to speak when the system is speaking so that you can hear both. Let me go ahead and launch it for just a moment. We will launch it using Volume A.
Choose a selection.
So every time students launch their level, you will hear that, choose a selection. Every selection that students are using are incorporated already within Comprehension Coach. And we are using Level A, and we are actually going to read or use the first selection of Unit 5, Return to Titanic. I'm not going to launch it just yet, but I am going to point out a couple of things to you. We are currently logged in as a teacher for this demo, and so the data that we do will not be saved being logged in as a teacher. But if your students were logged in, their data, of course, would be saved. There is a tutorial to help you move through it using Reach, one of our elementary programs. So this tutorial will actually show you content, this one that I am creating, will actually show you content using Inside as opposed to the one here, which uses Reach content. If you wanted to leave Comprehension Coach, you could do so by just activating this red button here that says Quit Coach. I'm now going to go ahead and launch Return to Titanic, and then we'll talk about the two portions of Comprehension Coach.
To answer questions while you read, click the red Q icons. To practice reading out loud, click Record.
I typically would not allow her to finish reading that passage, but for this tutorial, I want you to know exactly what's here. So the first portion of this is actually to answer comprehension questions. And she indicated to see those questions, click the red Q. In actuality, it's a red box with a white Q, as you see here on the screen. If your students were looking at the print version of Level A, Unit 5, Return to Titanic, this red box with the white Q would not appear in the print. It only appears when students access it here online. And I am pretty sure we will not see all of the levels or all of the types of questions that are available. So let me just let you know what types of questions students might encounter. There are 3 types of questions associated with Comprehension Coach on myngconnect.com. Those question types are true, false, indicating exactly that. Students will read the question and indicate if the response is either true or false. Multiple choice. Students are given 4 options within those multiple choice questions. There is a question that is there. There are 4 responses that are there, and students choose the correct response. The third type of question that students might encounter is identify the passage. In these types of questions, students are provided a selection, and the selection is actually printed, and they are asked a question, and then they need to highlight the correct response within the text. So true, false, multiple choice, or highlight the passage. Find the correct response within the passage. With true, false, they have the one chance to get the question correct. With the multiple choice and the identify the passage, they actually are given a couple of tries. If they don't get the correct answer the first time, they can go back and try again, but they will receive fewer points each time they have to go back. So let's just take a look at this first question. It happens to be a multiple choice question. The questions do have audio support, so students could click on the audio support.
Read the question. Click the answer. Then click Submit.
And they could also click on the question as well. Which of these words best describes the Titanic? I'm going to say famous. And click Submit. And I got the answer correct, which means I received all of the points available for that particular question. Let's move through another question. So on this page, I see that I have 2 questions on this 2-page spread. And I will know when I have answered all of the questions because it will not allow me to advance anymore when I've answered all of the applicable questions for this selection. So I'll click this box. This happens to be true, false, and I will let the system read it to us.
Imagine that the King of England took a trip on Titanic. This is an example of an important passenger. True or false?
And let's say it's false, so that you can see what happens when a student gets it incorrect.
Sorry, incorrect.
And because I only have that one choice, it went ahead and gave me the correct answer. Remember, with multiple choice and identify the passage, students will have multiple attempts to get the correct answer. With true, false, they either get it or they don't. So we'll close this one and click on the next one. This one also happens to be true, false. You would probably find 4 passengers on the top deck. True or false? I'm going to say that's false. Yay, and we got it correct. And I still see that there are some more questions that I could answer. Let me just go ahead and move through them. Let's see if that's the correct answer. I was reading. Oh, the sailor did call iceberg ahead, but something else happened first. So let me go back and read. Titanic set off for New York. At first, the ride was like a party. By April 14th, it was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. The weather was clear. The stars twinkled. On the ship, people danced. No one knew what was the danger. Shortly before, it was an iceberg. So let's see if this is the correct answer. Yay! And I got it right. All right. Let's close this one out and move to the next one. I'm trying to see if I can find one that will allow you to see identify the passage. This one does not, so I'm going to go ahead and skip it. I know.
If you close the quiz window, you will not receive any points for this question. You will not be allowed to come back later and try again. Do you still want to close the window?
So no, I don't want to close the window because I want to get some points, even though I may not get it right. Why were 1,500 people still on the ship when it sank? Let's see if I can find that in reading. I'm not going to read it first. I'm going to say that. Cool. And let's check this question. It is also a multiple choice question. We'll say the ship sank quickly. Yay. And there's still questions here. Yay. Now, there are 4 questions here, but I also see that there are no more questions after this. So I know that this is the last part of it. So I am going to, an explorer is a person who finds out about new places.
Correct.
Yay. I'm doing really well here. Okay, good. Yay. So this is one of those where students have to identify the passage of reading. So it says, read the passage, read the question, click on the sentence in the passage to answer the question, then click submit. Click on the sentence that shows the team was excited by their discovery. And I'm just going to jump to this last portion here. The team began to cheer. That shows that they are excited by their discovery. Click submit.
Correct.
And I got it correct. So that means I get all of the points. So this is one example of those identify the passage sections. So within this particular section, you actually were able to see each of those questions modeled, the true, false, the multiple choice, and then this identify the passage. So I'm going to close this one. I see I have a couple of more questions. Let me just go ahead and I'll just not even read it. And hopefully, oh, geez, that's a little scary. And click this one. And I want to close this one, yes, because I want you to see that I did not finish it. So the first portion of this is to answer questions about the selection. The second part of Comprehension Coach allows students to record themselves reading the passage. So at this point, you get to hear me read the passage because I want you to see what happens. After students have read enough of the passage, they will receive a reading report, and that reading report is automatically generated, and you will see that as we read. So I'm going to switch to the record mode so that you...
Now, let's check your microphone. Put your headset on, like the way shown in the image, and click Next.
It is strongly recommended that you have your students use a headset with microphone so that the system will clearly hear them as they are reading. Because when in a classroom setting, there are other distractors that are going on, and they may interfere with the recording. So we recommend that you use a headset. I have my headset on, And let's just click Next.
After the beep, please count to 10 and click Next when you are done.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Playback in progress. If you are able to hear your voice clearly, then click Next. If not, click Retry to record again. 1.
Okay.
Good job. Your microphone is working fine.
Okay, so you already have to listen to me read, so I didn't want to make you listen to me count. I am going to turn my volume down a little bit because I heard it and it was a little bit loud, so I'm going to turn the volume down and tell it okay. The system will automatically determine the passage that is to be read. Students don't have to even worry about that. It will be a passage within the selection we are currently viewing, but the system will tell me exactly what I need to read. Here we go.
3, 2, 1. Start reading here after the beep. Click Next when you are done.
Titanic was meant to be the biggest and best ship of its day, but it sank on its first trip. Yet it is still the best known boat on Earth. We were very fortunate. This actually is a very short passage that has generated a reading report, so you don't have to listen to me read anything else. Depending on the level, the unit, and the passage, some of the selections, some of the requirements will require students to read more than this particular passage. Remember, we are in Level A, Unit 5, and so this determined or required me to read only a short passage. And I will say this as I think about it. Fundamentals 1 and 2 are not a part of the Comprehension Coach. Comprehension Coach begins at Level A of Inside, and we are in the first level of Inside. So it's a small passage, and I'm going to show you this reading report based upon what I've read. It automatically generated this report based upon this selection, and so I know I don't have to read any additional information. But if when I click on my reading report, even though I am currently logged in as a teacher, students will see this as well when they do their recordings when they are logged in. So I'm going to click on this reading report, and it indicates using this color code. If there were things in orange, I had problems with those words. If there were things that were read correctly, and words I did not record. Because this was such a short passage, everything is in black, and so I read it correctly. I may have stumbled over something. It says my words correct per minute, 106 out of 112. Students see this automatically when they click on their reading report. If a student scored maybe 50 out of 112, they could automatically go back in and do a second recording or a third recording. And this is only building fluency for that student. You, the teacher, will receive the final recording that the student submits. So if I were to go back in and read it again and read it again and read it again, the last one that I hit submit on and actually log out afterwards will be the one that you, the teacher, will receive. Not only does it provide for me this reading report, it also provides for me the student word practice. If there were words here that were highlighted orange or in orange text, those words would be in my word practice list. But because I read all of my words correctly, there are none here. The student would see their list of words, be able to listen to the word being read correctly, say and record the word themselves, and then listen and rate themselves saying the word. But again, because none of my words were orange. There are no words in my word practice report. Another thing that you will need to know is that each word practice report is specific to each individual student. So I may have words that appear in my list, but my neighbor doesn't have the same words or doesn't have any words. That's because, again, it is specific to that student and that student's login. So the question points that you see here, this is relative to those comprehension questions that I responded to when I was in the question portion of Comprehension Coach. So there were a total of 50 points available, and I know that I skipped a couple of them and I didn't get some of them correct the first time. And so I see that I received a 39 out of 50. I'm going to close this particular report, and then I'm also going to very quickly show you a couple of things. So that color key that I mentioned when we saw the reading report is also here for me so that I know what I've done well and what I have done and what I have not done well. And it also shows you my progress, or shows me my progress as I'm going through it. So I'm going to stop recording this section of it, and I'm going to quit the coach. And when I quit, it takes me back inside the student book that I was actually using. But now, and I am going to, if I remember that page, I just want to show you a quick difference between the student book and the Comprehension Coach. I want to jump to that selection, Return to Titanic. I just have to find it. It's Unit 5, page 274. And so now I'm actually just looking at the student book on myngconnect.com. And when I get to the beginning of the selection, Return to Titanic, you'll notice that red Q is missing because I'm no longer inside of Comprehension Coach. I'm just looking at the ebook, the electronic version of the text on myngconnect.com. myngconnect.com and Comprehension Coach, or I should say Comprehension Coach itself, is a subscription-based activity for students that does two things. One more time, students can respond to new comprehension questions, and students can also record themselves using the recording portion of Comprehension Coach. When they go into Comprehension Coach, all of their resources will be here. Now, the reason this data is still here is because I've not yet signed out. So the student is in the process of finishing the reading, and I see that from my queue here. And I did finish all of my questions, and I could actually view that report. So that information is saved now because I've not logged out. As a student, that information will always be saved. But because I am logged in as a teacher, as soon as I log out, that information is going to be deleted from this account. If you have further questions about Comprehension Coach, please feel free to reach out to us because we are always here and available to help you. Thanks so much for joining us, and have a great afternoon.